and welcome to Art Portals. My name is Loren, and today's episode, we are going to be discussing how to relax into your ambition and how relaxing into things actually motivates you and pushes you further. Now, as some of you may have noticed, Rex is not beside me on today's episode, and that is because Rex is on a work trip. So he is out of town, and it's going to be like that for the next few weeks. So for today's episode, I just wanted to go ahead and just release some more one-on-one, personal, intimate episode for you guys, and probably for the next few ones we will be recording on Zoom. We've been out of town and all these things have been happening, so we haven't been as consistent, but we are going to work with it. And sometimes life can do unexpected things, but it's all for our betterment. So yep, that is pretty much a little life update, and yeah, I will jump right into the episode. So relaxing into ambition. What does that mean? I thought about this the other day while I had my meditation session, and I feel like through time, as I've progressed within what I love to do, I've gotten more intimate with myself in recognizing how freaking out about things doesn't really help or make it easier. And I think we live in a society where hustle culture is really like pushed down our necks, and like capitalism tries to make you like compete so that you can be on the top, so that you have this better quality of life. But realistically speaking, what's super difficult about being in a mindset where you're constantly reevaluating and figuring out what works best for you and pushing yourself is you get burnt out. And when you're burnt out, then you feel like you can't actually do anything. And so then you put yourself down, and it's just this like tug of war relationship that you have with yourself. And so when you relax into things, you're not putting such a high expectation over what you want and what you're looking for. You're actually giving yourself the space to grow and to learn and to not be perfect and to not cross everything on off your to-do list. And you're learning to be present with what you have in front of you. So I think that this is really important because as artists, so much is expected of us, and it's even harder when you don't really have those connections, you don't have a community, you're kind of just coming and doing things from a place of love and just because this is your happiness. And when you're in the state of happiness and then you compare that to the business aspect of the art world, suddenly things have a lot more pressure, and you feel like you have to be your own marketer, be your own creator. You have to put yourself out there in the next few years or you're going to struggle financially. And there's all these things. And really, it's at the end of the day, the expectations and the weight that we put on ourselves. So what does it mean to evaluate your expectations? So being able to step away from this mindset where you are comparing yourself to other people, to other people's success, where you expect yourself to finish this painting or finish the sculpture today. And when you went into the studio, things didn't go as planned. And sometimes there is a level of unexpected and uncertainties that need to be embraced when you are in the studio, because as you are growing your skill set, so is the stuff that you're creating, the work that you're creating. And it's unexpected. And you have to be able to kind of embrace that. It's not like this formula that you get to put into the computer and then boom, unless you're an AI artist, then this isn't an episode for you, right? But yeah, I think that being able to recognize this is what I expect of myself, and then also evaluate why you expect yourself. Why do you expect yourself within 5 years to become a full-time artist? Why do you expect yourself to fulfill all these things and do these shows? Is there somebody that you're trying to impress? Is there somebody that you feel that is on a level that you want to be at and you're not there yet? It's like, I think when we put so much pressure on ourselves to fulfill things, and then life kind of throws us those curveballs that we don't necessarily expect, it makes it harder for us to realize how we can become full-time within the next 5 years, or how we can actually get there. And life isn't linear. Like, There's so many ways to do one thing, and I don't want artists to feel like if they didn't go to art school or if they're not showing at the local gallery that they can't make it. There's so many avenues for you. And so when you learn to kind of relax into your expectations and not force your own expectations, then suddenly you're like, like actually, it's like a breath of fresh air. And what I'm doing isn't coming from a place of like forceful need, and it's coming from this place of like want, correct? So once you have determined what you expect out of your ambition, it's time to also look into your ambition and see, okay, this is something that I truly want to do. Whether that may be I want to be a successful painter, or I want to create sculptures, or I like to crochet. There's so many different things you can do, but focus on what brings you joy and not like that final end product. Because if you are really good at just kind of like shutting the world out and being in the zone and doing your thing, and that's almost your form of escapism, you've already figured out your way to relax. But now we have to figure out how to be consistent, because to have an art career or to be able to do something every day, there is this integration that needs to happen between being there for what you love to do and also knowing how to share that with the world. And so I think a lot of focusing your ambition on what you want to do for a career kind of takes away that fun and that joy and that relaxation of things. And when you do put yourself out there, you almost feel like this is weird. Like, I don't know how to talk to people. And I know artists have this really difficult uh, relationship when it comes to, putting themselves out there, because for so much of our time, we love to kind of do things in isolation. But really, what's important is to recognize that when it does come to putting yourself out there and creating that ambition, being able to share that with others and coming from a genuine, honest place is how you start to actually make real connections. And even if there have been instances where things didn't work out for you in the past, it doesn't matter, because those are just people that haven't noticed your flame. They haven't noticed your passion yet. And maybe it's just not a situation that you should force yourself into. I think that trusting that the universe is also going to give you the right opportunities is a part of relaxing into things. Because when you're constantly on edge, you don't know how to impress the next gallery, you don't know how to create that right website so people can see your work. It's not something that you have to constantly obsess over in order to get it right. There's, if you can put yourself in the driver's seat of what you love to do and come from a genuine place and relax into things, and even if you make a mistake, you're embracing your failures, you're able to then look at what you have to do and just be like, wait, I can make a website. I could just Google it on YouTube and boom, now there's an example of this artist that I love, and I can just follow this as a template, right? Find people that inspire you and see how they do things. But realistically, it's not going to be easy. And I think this jumps into like the next point here. When you're relaxing into your ambition, you want to recognize that when you are passionate about something, people think that you have to work really, really hard to get where you need to get. And of course, hard work is all a part of it. Like, to be consistent, to show up for yourself, to work through those uncomfortable moments, it does take a level of hard work. But if you're constantly in a place where everything is always hard for you, then you're not having fun. There's no joy. There's no space to be a human being. And a place of passion doesn't necessarily mean that you are on the grind all the time and everything has to be hard. If it's hard for you, then maybe you should reevaluate if this is something you truly want to do. It's about less about like working until into exhaustion and more about being motivated out of a place of joy. And so instead of hard work, say it's a challenging work. It's challenging. I'm challenging myself. I get to wake up and I don't know how I'm going to work through this, but I'm going to have this smile within myself. And that positive energy is what's going to not allow you to feel burnt out because, again, it's like it is a challenge. Every single thing that you do that you've never experienced before, it's all up to you. So, really, at the end of the day, we only make things difficult for ourselves when we put that pressure on ourselves. And so, yes, when I first got into painting, I was struggling so hard. And I would show up, and all these people would know how to paint this like regular paper bag. And I had no idea how to even do it. But I kept staying consistent with myself. And even then, I felt like it wasn't enough. And my anxiety was always like pushing me into places where I was putting myself down. And like, you don't want to come from a place of insecurity. You're not this person who's like, oh, I'm not that good, so I have to keep fucking working hard. And I used to always have this mindset like, oh, I feel like no matter what, I always have to work 10 times harder than somebody next to me, which is bullshit. Because what that does is that delegitimizes your experience, but also somebody else's, because we're all working, we're all trying our best. It's not about making things look easy. It's about relaxing into the fact that this is something that is a part of the process. And in order to achieve that height, that new evolution that you're trying to get, it's going to require challenging yourself, but it doesn't have to be hard unless you make it hard. So eliminate that whole, the only way to get good at something is to put 10,000 hours into what you do. Like, I've seen people who just started creating like maybe 2 or 3 years ago jump like this. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that, yes, they were consistent, but they were attentive of themselves. They were attentive of where they're at. They weren't trying to just like fit into this narrative for themselves. They were actually able to see like, okay, I can do it. I believe in myself. And yeah, maybe I do have to work a little harder, but I'm not going to freaking put that out in the driver's seat and let that guide my whole course. Like I feel, speaking of myself, being a student, people see the way I work, and I work on a lot of things all at once. And I'm always at the studio, and people will say, oh, you work so hard, you work so hard. And maybe in their eyes, I work hard, but in my eyes, it's my joy. Like, this is something that if I'm not doing, I feel disconnected from myself. And even though I'm working on a bunch of things at once, it also doesn't mean that in my head, I'm like, okay, like I made it, I'm good. Like, I'm still, like, you can't get rid of the ego and our need to like beat ourselves down. Sometimes it's in there. But again, I enjoy being here. And it's a relationship that I've had to build through time. I've had to notice my bad habits. And you have to recognize how to relax into good habits too. Having discipline is one thing, but if you're always on a schedule and if you don't fulfill X, Y, and Z, then you beat yourself down, then guess what? Those habits are not even going to stick because you're going to just put this negative mindset into how you do things. So, really being able to recognize that you are a human, you're growing, you're evolving. Things could take you 2 years, they could take you 10, but you're present with the moment and you're present with you waking up today. You set a goal for yourself, whatever that may be, and you just allow your passion and your love for what you do to drive you. I think that is how you learn to relax into yourself because, again, it's like all these expectations, they're only weighing you down. And maybe it's just changing some of your habits too. So if you're dedicating too much of your time, let's just say, to scrolling on social media, and all you do is get this like dopamine overload because you see all these amazing artists doing all these incredible things. It's this instant gratitude. And then you get to the studio and you're at a completely different place. What you need to do is make those big changes to actually see yourself more in tune and be more attentive to what needs to be changed within your own practice. So if you get off of it, even if it's just for a week, watch what happens. Like things start to change for the better. You're not constantly comparing yourself to others where you want to be. You're more focused on, okay, like I have a hard time waking up in the morning. So I'm going to set this alarm here just to help motivate me. And even though I'm like complaining and I'm uncomfortable and I'm not in it, I'm going to force myself. Or maybe put your phone like outside of your room and like force yourself to wake up and go answer that alarm and walk outside and get hit with some sunlight. And you're going to feel so much better. And that's already going to motivate you. Or maybe you're somebody who, you need to drink your coffee in order to get started. That's fine. Just be aware of what you truly enjoy in life and do that. And I think that, yes, discipline is important, but relaxing into your ambition also means taking time off for yourself. If you are, as soon as you wake up, you're somebody who's like 5 a.m., hit the gym, do some paperwork, answer some emails, go to work, and then afterwards paint, or whatever it is you do. And then even at night, you're still like figuring things out. You're signing up for shows, you're looking for all these things. You're going to burn yourself out to the point where it's like, this is so much for me, unless this is something that you truly want to do. But if this is how you navigate your everyday, most likely you're going to feel exhausted. And as humans, we need time to relax. And so even if it means that for 10 to 15 minutes in your day, you have to just sit down, close your eyes, and just like be with yourself, then do it. For me, like I like to relax. I'll do everything in the morning, and then at night, I give myself time to chill out, maybe play some video games, maybe watch a movie. I don't know. There's a time and place to be productive, and then there's a time for you to just be a human being and relax and enjoy things. I feel like, again, there has to be a balance. If you are pushing yourself to the point of no return, then you're going to feel it. And then what ends up happening is you look at your schedule and you're like, oh, well, yeah, I used to go to the gym, but I can't do that, plus work, plus take care of my kids, plus this, plus that. It's like, well, maybe there's something that you have to reorganize within your schedule in order to push yourself to that point where you can go to the gym, or you can, take care of your family and also paint. Maybe you want to create art with your family. Who knows? The only person that can really alleviate the stress is yourself. So I believe that really when it comes to relaxing into things, it's also about your mindset. And so the way you navigate through your day to day is what's going to allow you to recognize and alleviate some of the pressure that we put on ourselves. Now, I feel that one way to kind of allow you guys to channel relaxation is, and it doesn't have to be something that you've done or had experience consistently, or maybe haven't experienced yet, but if you've ever been just in the flow, in this connection with what you're creating, there's this moment that the time does not exist, that you are just with what's in front of you, and you are growing and you are channeling this energy through it. And that feeling is invaluable. That is the most beautiful thing that you can potentially feel as a human. And if you've ever experienced that, I think that should be the motivator for you to always feel that again, because it's the most natural high that you can get, is just being with something, creating something, taking care of something, and growing with that thing and watching it grow with you. And if you can bring that growth into everything you do, use that as a motivator to relax into every little thing. Even if something goes wrong, even if you didn't get this opportunity that you really wanted, learn to relax into that rejection and be like, okay, I didn't get it. It didn't work out for me, but that's cool. I'm going to bounce back. There's another opportunity. There's so many other things that I can do for myself instead. And it's all good. I'm going to breathe and feel how it feels again, and feel how it is to really be centered and in the moment with what you're doing. So I think that it's something that takes time. It's not easy, especially if you come from maybe a family that has been very overtly assertive and hugely like not as rewarding. Like you do something good and then they're like still looking at all the negative things around you. And I know a lot of us have experienced things like that where we didn't get enough praise in our lives. And I think that it's so important to give people praise because, yes, we do work hard, but we deserve to feel that love. And if you're not at least getting it from these other avenues, you have to be there to do it for yourself. And that's what's going to keep pushing you forward. Because even when things don't work out, something messes up, maybe you like realize, hey, I'm not into this medium anymore and I've worked years through it. Now I want to try something else. Or maybe your ambition for art becomes ambition for cooking. Who knows? It doesn't matter. You're there to channel that energy, that relaxation into creativity. And that is something that will always push you forward, will always motivate you. I could be stressing out about how I'm going to pay my bills, how I'm going to do this, but I've learned to not allow that to dictate my whole day. My thoughts are going to be clear because I know that I'm working on it. I'm setting it up for myself and I'm trusting that I will get it done because I've been there for myself before. And so being there for yourself and pushing through and being dependable is what is also going to allow you to relax more, to trust more, because regardless of things not working out in the past, or maybe you haven't been as consistent and sometimes you fall back into bad habits, you are still working on creating those better habits. And just having that thought, that feeling within you that you are pushing yourself and motivating yourself to be better is going to allow you to show up. There's no bullshitting it, like if you want to get off social media, you'll do it. If you want to start going to the gym more, you can do it. If you want to make some new friends, maybe you've outgrown some of your friendships, you can totally do it. It's just about not needing to over conceptualize something that is actually quite simple. We overcomplicate things when we try to put so many expectations on ourselves, and we look at ourselves as this I hate when things like this happen. Okay, it's fine. We overcomplicate things when we overconceptualize what's expected from us. And really the only thing that is expected is to just be a human. Like we don't have to be these like art grind people, like huge sellers and doing this and doing that. Like literally if you woke up today, you ate a meal, like you got out of the house, you tried to pay your bills, whatever it is that you do, like that's enough, And feeling like you are enough is extremely important. So overall, right, we are going to try this out. Just relax into your ambition. Learn to, if you do see yourself with your mind is just grinding into anxiety about, not fulfilling the things that you wanted to do, step back, learn to relax into things, and pay attention to what's good about what you did. Even if you failed, oh, it's good I failed. Oh, that's great, you know? And it's not this like toxic positivity thing. No, it's there for you to motivate you. And you got this. Everything is up to you. And so avoiding your burnout, make sure that you don't put 1,000 things on your to-do list. Be aware of what you can live without. Prioritizing is important, having that discipline to show up, but then learning to also let go of your expectation of what you're trying to achieve. It's not about the destination, it's about the journey. It's the in-between, it's the present moment. And that is way more important than what you're trying to achieve. Your happiness isn't about, oh, when I graduate and when I get married and when I do X, Y, and Z, I'm going to feel happy. It's like, no, like, bitch, are you happy today? Did you wake up in the morning and just breathe and feel, yeah, like things could be on fire, but fire's cool and I'm going to dance in it. So you got this. And thank you so much for tuning in. And next week, Rex will be joining me as well. We'll probably do a couple of Zoom episodes until he gets back. And please, if you have any questions, feel free to email us. We'd love to see your art. You can send us your art on artportals@gmail or artportalspodcast@gmail.com. And thanks so much, guys.